Hi, Miss Joellen. Let's talk about some shrubs that folks should try out. So let's start with Viburnum, because I know you like Viburnums, right?
Yeah, I like Viburnums, and Viburnums are actually a fairly common shrub.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't know about them. The reason why they're not more popular is because most of them are very large.
Okay.
And so it's kind of hard to put, people want foundation plants and things that are small. Well, but sometimes it takes a large shrub, in the back corner of your lot or somewhere. And Viburnums would be an excellent addition. There are all different kinds. There's one thing that's true about Viburnums, that they're not all alike. As related as they are, they can be trees, shrubs. They can be evergreen. They can be semi-evergreen.
My goodness.
They can be deciduous.
Look at Mr. D. He's like, wow. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Mr. D.
And they can be large, up to 60 feet tall, and they can be short to 3 feet.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean,
it's quite a range.
There's a huge range of Viburnums. So, consequently, there's probably one that'll fit your situation, no matter what you're looking for. And we'll talk about a few of them.
Okay.
But first, the things that they have in common. They all have white or pink flowers, and they bloom in the spring.
Okay.
They all have red fruit that turns to purple if the birds don't eat it first. So it's a good shrub for birds if you want to feed birds, so it's good for that. Some of the smaller varieties, though, don't always have berries in flowers.
Okay.
I don't know exactly why, but sometimes it's not reliable for flowering in berries on some of the smaller varieties.
Okay.
They like full sun, they like light shade, and they can grow in some pretty dark shade, but they probably won't bloom, and they probably won't have berries.
Right, makes sense.
And they won't grow a whole lot, so they won't get huge in shade. One of the best things about them, though, is they are very tolerant of soils in general.
Oh, that's a good thing.
That's good for us here in the Mid-South, because, we don't have the greatest soils for air and water movement.
Okay.
Because it's such a tight soil. But one thing they don't like is wet feet. So they don't like the roots to stay wet. So you can't put them in an area that holds water. So you have that problem, you got to raise them up because they don't want to have wet feet.
Okay.
But other than that, they're not particular. Which is really good.
Can you handle that, Mr. D?
They sound pretty temperamental to me. I tell you.
Well, let's talk about some varieties. There's one called Viburnum David Ige, or David Viburnum. It's the smallest one. It's about 3 feet tall. Oh, okay. And it's fairly common in the trade. You see it in garden centers occasionally here and there. Okay. It will be good for a foundation plant because it doesn't get very big. Mm-hmm. Well,
evergreen?
It's evergreen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one is evergreen. The next one I'm going to talk about, the Viburnum Carlesii, was the first viburnum that I fell in love with. But it is deciduous. It loses its leaves. Okay. But look at all you get, besides the wood in the winter, which is interesting. And it is a fairly large shrub. We're talking maybe up to 8 feet or so. So it's a big size shrub. But in the spring, it blooms, and it has round spheres of blooms that are white and pinkish and fragrant. So can you imagine that large shrub with fragrance? And you can smell it ways away. So that's why I had fallen in love with it. And it has gorgeous green foliage in the summertime. And then in the fall, it has nice fall color. So I mean, it really is a very versatile plant, but it's big. And it likes sun, so you got to give it some sun for all that nice, wonderful blooms.
Makes sense.
So that's one. And then there's one that is also grown for its bloom and its fruiting. It's the Doublefile Viburnum.
I've seen those.
Viburnum, plicatum, tomentosum. And it's got horizontal branching, and the flowers stand up along the top of the stem. They're lace caps along the top of the stem. And then those turn into red berries. And so they're very, very pretty and very popular. They are large too. So, I mean, you're going to give them about 8-10 feet. So, these are not small shrubs. And then there is the one Viburnum, and it's a hybrid, Viburnum rhytidophyllum.
All right.
It's a leatherleaf viburnum, and that's what I have in my yard, which is this one here. And as you can see, it's like a leather leaf. It's very substantial. And this particular one blooms, pretty white blooms in the spring, and then it's semi-deciduous. So what it is the leaves will turn purple color, and they'll kind of cling unless it gets really, really cold, and then sometimes some of them will fall off, but it'll still have some clinging to it. And you know, you can see in ice storms and stuff, the leaves are still there and growing.
I don't see any sign of insect or disease.
I have never had any problem with this viburnum. I don't know of any problems they have other than keeping their roots dry, that you know, because they don't like wet feet. Sure. So other than that, I've seen no problems with these, which is why I don't understand why they're not so popular. But
almost looks like a little tobacco plant.
At least it look a lot.
Yeah. Well, if you feel it, they're real leather, and across there's little spines on these too.
That may be why insects don't bother it.
Maybe that, and you know, I don't think deer eat this particular one because it's just so spiny. And if you handle it,
you mentioned earlier about if you handle it,
you don't want to rub your eyes, because it's these little, everything they have on them is just real fuzzy, and they can be sharp and irritating. But it's a beautiful plant. It grows, it's nice stiff. The large leaves make a nice texture difference in the landscape, and I really like it.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button below.